Hello guys and welcome to this afternoon's update. I'm gonna have another one later this evening when Yaas is about to make landfall. But we're gonna be looking at three areas today. Not one, not two, but three areas today. Um, as you guys can see in the Eastern Pacific, we got two areas of interest here that is noted by the National Hurricane Center. Here's a disturbance number one. It's an area of low pressure that is expected to form several hundred miles southwest of the coast of Mexico later this week. Environmental conditions appear favorable for some gradual development of this system thereafter, as it moves westward or to west northwestward at 5 to 10 miles an hour. The 48-hour percentage wise is 0% or near 0%, and the 5-day chance is low at 30%. Here is disturbance number two. It's another area of low pressure that is expected to form several hundred miles south of the coast of Guatemala and southern Mexico by this weekend. If I could speak, gradual development of this system will also be possible early next week as it moves generally westward at 5 to 10 miles an hour. There is little to no chance in the next 48 hours, and in the 5 days, there's low 20% chance. Now, here's the interesting thing. At least this is what I see on the GFS. The GFS actually backs away from the first, disturbance, forming, but we'll see that as we go out through time. 24 hours, we see a low pressure system form here. Let's see what the. Let's refresh that actually. Yeah, okay, we're good. We're going to go back to 24 hours. As you can see, there's a low pressure system that's starting to form here. What's the wind shear like here? We will find out. Only 2 knots, so it's working with little to no shear here. 48 hours, we got nothing. And 72 hours, we got our low pressure systems here. This is area number one. It's working with 8 knots of shear, and it's starting to try to get something to go in here. Here's the second area, I believe. And this is working with 3 knots of shear. So they're both working with relatively low shear right now. 96. And as you can see, the first one kind of fizzles out. The GFS is not very optimistic with that first disturbance. Here's the second disturbance. It's at 1,001 millibar tropical storm. And it's working with semi favorable wind shear at this point in time. So how about 120 hours out? 120 hours out, it has a decent tropical storm. This is a strong tropical storm here. It has 997 millibar of low pressure, and it's working with only 1 knot of shear. So the shear is really low here in the Eastern Pacific to work with these storms, and it looks like another low pressure system coming off of Central America there. We'll have to monitor that as well. Okay, so here is the Ecmwf, or the European for short. As you can see, 24 hours out has nothing. 48 hours, there's a low pressure system coming off of Central America. 72 hours, nothing. 96 hours, there's another low pressure system. 128 hours out, nothing. The European does not want anything in the Eastern Pacific. So this is kind of one of those cases if GFS is going to be the only model that sniffs these systems out. Because normally when the GFS has something for an extended period of time, the European starts to, pick up on that. And it's vice versa too. If the European has something for a long time, the GFS starts to pick up on it. So apparently the European wants absolutely nothing in the Eastern Pacific in the next 5 days. Okay, so here's the sea-to-sea surface temperatures, and as you can see, we have plenty of warm water here in the Eastern Pacific. We got 29s, 30s, and even 31s in the general vicinity of these low pressure systems that are going to form. So low wind shear plus hot bath water, hot temperatures. And I do expect at least one of these systems, one of these areas of interest to form. Whether it's the first one or the second one or even both. That's why I'm going to be monitoring this stuff for you as we go out through time. Okay, so here is our main attraction here. This is Tropical Cyclone Yaas, or Cyclone Yaas, since it has 75 mile per hour winds. This right here is located about 19.8 north, 88.3 east. Maximum sustained winds are 65 knots, which is 75 miles an hour. Actually, let's go look at that. 65 knots. I'm not, like I said, I'm not good with converting knots. Yeah, 75 miles an hour. So it's Category 1 cyclone at the moment. Minimal central pressure is at 975 millibars. So it's it's pretty deep for a Category 1 that I've ever seen. Anyways, so here we're gonna go look at the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, and as you can see, 60 it's at 65 knots right now, so it's pretty much at the peak of what the Joint Typhoon Warning Center wants here. Hopefully this remains the case, but I do expect a little more strengthening as we go out through the next several hours and up until landfall, which I think is going to be somewhere between the next 10 and 12 hours. So whether we get a high-end tropical storm or a mid-range Cat 1, the results are pretty much going to be the same for the areas that is going to be making landfall in. So please pay attention to what is going on. If you weren't able to evacuate, just hunker down and board up windows and all that good stuff, and you should be okay. And also, if you get some storm surge, you know, try to be up in the highest level of your home that you possibly can in order to stay safe from the raging seas out there. So that is that for now. Okay, so we are going to take a look at the GEFS tracks and minimal MSLP. And as you can see, we got some red lines here. So this is pretty much indicative of 980 to 970, which is pretty much where it's at right now. So as you can see here, the average is 977, and I think it makes landfall as probably a low 970s for an average. As you can see, most of these spaghetti plots want to take it in the next 24 hours, which I think is a little bit too slow for the current trajectory of how fast this is going. Okay, so here is the GEPS tracks and minimal MSLP, and as you can see, most of these have it going landfall in 24 to 48 hours. This was also initialized at 0C, so that's 12 hours, minus 12 hours, so 36 to 12 hours, which is pretty. I don't know about 36, but I'll give it 12. And most of these are actually the same as the GEFS, anywhere between 980 and 960. Um, the average here is 978 millibars, 974. I think we're gonna get a peak of like a 971, 970. So that's what that shows for that. All right, so let's take a look at the long floater here. And as you can see, it's just rotating its way onshore here. And as you can see, we had kind of a convective blow up here as this part of the storm, comes on shore. So where you're in this black area here, you're definitely going to feel some torrential rains and strong gusty winds, and so obviously we're going to see storm surge as well. So people in this area, please pay attention to what is going on outside. Don't get taken by surprise from the elements. Just really watch out there and see what's happening, and then plan your course of action if you think something terrible is coming your way. Obviously, it's terrible, but I'm talking about the terrible stuff that actually comes with actually being in the cyclone itself. So, like I said, between 12 and maybe 15 hours or 9 hours, give or take. 12 hours, give or take. This is probably going to make landfall. Okay, so here's the 12Z GFS, and as you can see, it's at a 971 millibar system here. It looks like I'm going to have to refresh again. So here we go. 971 millibars. We're going to take a look at the wind shear here, see what it's working with. 28 knots of shear, so it's pretty disheveled again, still because of the wind shear. 969. it's working with 10 knots a shear. So there may be a situation where the wind shear lessens a bit, that it could strengthen a few hours before landfall. So that's what I'm kind of worrying about right now. My range of a peak intensity is between a Category 1 to a mid-grade Category 2. I'm still going to keep with the Category 2 because there's always that chance that the wind shear backs up just enough for this system to really organize quickly before landfall. So I'm not taking that off the table just yet. Um, but yeah, anywhere from a Category 1, which it is right now, to a mid-grade Category 2. So since this is making landfall right now, I'm not going to really look at the wind shear. And as you can see, 24 hours out, it starts to rain itself out. It's still a wind and rainmaker at this point. 48 hours out, it's starting to lose its punch. It's basically a rainmaker at this point. And 72 hours is pretty much gone. It's just a bunch of rain showers at this point in time. So, like I said, like we had with Talte last week, we can hope and pray that it makes landfall quickly and dies down quickly. Um, so there's going to be damage, but to hopefully minimize the damage going forward. All right, so here is the Ecmwf, and as you can see, this was initialized last night, so 975 millibars, 24 hours out, 971. So the European wants this to make landfall in 12 hours too. 48 hours, 989 is starting to wind down a little bit. 993, 997, and then it's gone at 5 days. So, with that being said, um, hunker down. This is the point in time in a cyclone's life that is this close that you just don't go outside. If you have nowhere to go at this point, just stay inside, hunker down, and wait until the storm is over. Because if you go outside, you're only risking your life and maybe risking those around you as well. Because if you say you open the door and all that wind starts to funnel in, right? There goes the roof. The roof is gone, pretty much, because of the way the wind moves inside the house and it propagates upward when it goes inside. So please just stay inside. Don't open your doors or windows for that matter. I hope your windows are boarded up. Whatever you got to do to keep your house secure. All right, so here is the sea-to-sea surface temperatures, and as you can see, it's still 31, 31s, 32s, all the way up until landfall. So these waters are not going to be very much a problem for this thing while it's making landfall. So the only thing that's really keeping this thing in check right now is the wind shear. If we didn't have the wind shear that we have right now, this thing would have been a monster. There's no doubt about that. I mean, not that it's not going to be bad. It's going to be really bad even for a Category 1 or a Category 2 storm. Um, so, I say this all the time. You can throw those out the window. Um, the waters here are not going to weaken a storm whatsoever. Um, I just want everybody to be careful, and I will have one more update on Yaas before landfall tonight, and we're gonna see how this evolves throughout the day. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys stay safe. I want you guys to be coming back here and hopefully watching my updates going forward into the future. Anyways, thank you guys for watching and have a nice day.